All right, back for another one. We got the 72 Datsun. We're in the home shop. Looks a little different than the last time you saw it. We had it down on CARFIX. You can check that out on the Motor Trend app or on Motor Trend. And what we did, we cut a lot of the bed out. We back halved it. So we've built our frame rails. We've got those mocked up. They're tacked into place with 2x4 tubing. We've got our Quick Performance Ford 9-inch rear end back there that is just mocked up, tacked into place for right now. We've got a 4-link for that. We cut the roof off of it. Yes, told you I was going to do it. So this is going to be a full roadster. We've got the roof cut off. A-pillars are cut down quite a bit. We're going to have a raw edge glass across the top of it. We've got our drivetrain that came from Powertrain Products. We've got the Ecotech Turbo 4-cylinder. Probably going to run a manual trans, undecided on that at the moment. We've got our Fat Man fabrication front end that they built for us for this, and you can see super narrow cross members, so we're going to end up having to narrow those frame rails. But for today, I don't think we're going to get quite that far. What I would like to do this week, just to get myself motivated and a little further, is we're going to body drop it. So right now we're laying frame, and you can see the rockers are still a good ways off the ground. I've got the back jacked up just a little bit, but that's pretty much about where it would be. So it's pretty high. We're gonna go ahead and cut the floor out of this thing because we're gonna have to do it for a trans, and we're gonna have to raise the floor to be able to get the rockers on the ground. We're also gonna have a higher bed floor. So I think we're gonna rough cut plasma out the floor, see if we can get it down on the ground, and we can start figuring out everything from there. The only other thing I wanna try to do this week, besides getting it on the ground so we can look at it and figure out what else we wanna do, is finish welding in the back half that we've built, and I'm gonna cut some plates on the plasma table where we can kind of gusset where these two frame rails meet together. And other than that, I think that's a pretty good start. We're gonna, obviously it's a big build, we're gonna take it slow, and as long as I can do a few little things to keep me motivated, we'll keep at it. All right, we got the cab floor cut out. Now when you're doing a body drop, the reason you're cutting out the bed floor and the cab floor, if you're not familiar with it, is because you're lowering the cab and the bed down over the frame. So the frame's coming up in the truck with you, and that's how you're getting the rockers down on the ground. So we're having to get all this stuff cut away. The back wall is gonna have to be cut as well. We've got a cross member going across, and we're gonna have to come up about 6.5 inches or so into the back wall. That's where the frame rails start to kick up. So I'm gonna cut that with a cutoff wheel since we've got the bed there. You'll also notice we've got everything braced up really well. I braced the bed super well because I'm gonna use pretty much everything of the bed, build a new bed floor. We'll cut out the old stuff, obviously. In here, it's braced and it's not going anywhere, but I didn't go overkill because we're basically gonna build this cab out in sections. I'm probably gonna build a new back wall. We're gonna put rockers on it. I'd considered maybe stretching the cab just a little bit. So we're gonna break this thing up. I've got good measurements for where I want everything to be. So it's not gonna move with what we've got, but I'm not overly concerned. if we get any movement out of it. So we're gonna cut that right now. We'll also have a mount or two to cut up front. Hopefully we should start to be able to set it down a little bit and see if we can get the rockers on the ground. So I'm gonna grab the cutoff wheel and get to hacking. Ah! Stop, truck. Don't be a sissy, cut up your shit. Yes! All right, rockers are on the ground. That's what we wanted. You don't realize how big of a difference that makes until you see the bed compared to the cab. Look at the difference in the body lines right there. So the truck looked low before with it just laying frame, but man, are we low now, especially with the A-pillars cut down. The windshield's gonna be low. This is awesome. Man, I can't get enough of this stuff. I guess that's why I'm still doing it. So we got everything cut away with the plasma cutter. What an awesome tool, because when I was young, we didn't have a plasma cutter. You just cut everything with a cutoff wheel. So what a quick way to get everything out of the way, and then we can go back and clean it up. What I'm gonna do now is, I've got the bed and those frame rails positioned right where I wanted them to be before we set this cab down. Now that I can access some of that, I'm gonna go ahead and weld the cross member and the frame rails fully into place, because it's exactly where I want it to be, and I don't want to move it and try to figure all that out again. So we'll do that, get some plates cut for those frame rails to kind of gusset that up, and then we should be able to set the bed down where we want it to be and really tuck some big rear wheels. So let's do it. Man, love it, love it. All right, so I've got the Lincoln MIG out. We're gonna weld right here where this cross member's in. We're gonna fully weld that in. So this down low end, I'm just gonna MIG it. But up top where we're gonna gusset and weld the frame rails up top, I'll probably TIG all that because I can get to it pretty easy. This is just a lot easier just to pull the trigger on this one, which is nice sometimes. It's nice not to have to do all the craziness. Got her turned up hot. We're gonna see if we can just get it melted in nice here. You always want to put your helmet on weld, because that doesn't feel good. Try to be safe, gloves, jacket, helmet, and still flash yourself. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Crazy, these original mini truck frames, they boxed them so they're tough, but man, they are thin. All right, I wasn't planning to take the bed off right now, but everything's too hard to get to weld. I'm gonna weld it, I might as well go ahead and finish it out. I'm gonna put a little pressure on this to hold the bed. I'm gonna cut the tacks where our structure is welded to the frame rails, and we should be able to pull the bed off. I'll finish welding that. See the bed on the ground. Burning metal. All right, we got that welded in. So we've got the cross member at the frame rails welded in. That's done. We've got the tube that's going down to the cross member welded in, except for the bottom. And then we've got our two 2x4 sections right here that are welded together. Everything's looking good so far. Now what I wanted to do was make a plate that's going to weld in right between these two joints, and is going to make it even stronger. This is probably plenty strong enough, but we're going to go overkill just to make sure, because we're going down the highway. I'm probably going to gusset it down at the cross member as well. So I'm going to draw these plates up in Fusion real quick, go cut them on the table. We'll see if we can get those welded in, and then we can set the bed back on it. See what it looks like. Okay, so we got our plates cut. Pretty easy, only took a couple of minutes to do it. So now we're gonna get them cleaned up so we can weld them in. So for you that don't know, when you get this steel, same thing with the 2x4 rails, typically come with a mill scale on them, and that's what's keeping them from rusting up and doing all that. So we need to get that off, especially before we TIG weld it, because it's nasty, it'll bubble everything up. So we use a stripping disc for that. This is a core stripping disc, so don't burn up your flap wheels trying to strip that stuff. Go get one of these. This takes it off in no time. Look how quick that took that off. I think this shirt explains it. Well, that was a lot of fun. We got everything accomplished we wanted to this week. We've got it laid down on the rockers. Looks really kick-ass. So the next thing's up for this one, we're going to see if we can narrow those front frame rails so we can start fitting that Fat Man Fabrication front end they built for us. Then that way we can fit our engine and trans and start building our floor, start doing a lot of really cool sheet metal work. We can build the floor. We're probably going to build a back panel. So anyway, a long way to go, but a lot of fun left to happen. I'm excited for the next one. Damn, that's cool.